The film begins in the American Northwest with a herd of rare wild horses. We see a mare give birth to Spirit, a young colt brimming with enthusiasm to explore the world. Spirit runs with the herd, joyful and playful, interacting with other foals. He is mesmerized by a herd of bison that come to drink from the lake, and despite their massive size, he shows no fear and even plays with their leader. As days pass and Spirit grows, we witness him racing his eagle friend, surpassing him in speed. We discover that Spirit has become the leader of the herd, responsible for its protection. One day, a mountain lion attacks the young foals, attempting to prey on them. Spirit intervenes at the last moment, stopping the lion and engaging in a fierce fight, ultimately bringing it down and scaring it away. Spirit's actions fill his mother and the entire herd with pride for his bravery. We see Spirit's happiness in being with the herd, reassuring each member at night. One night, Spirit spots a strange light in the forest and decides to investigate. Asking his mother to stay with the herd, he sneaks away, jumps over the fence, and continues running until he reaches the source of the light. He discovers a group of horses tied up, and one of them urges him to flee, but Spirit ignores the warning and starts exploring. He is fascinated by the sight of sleeping humans, their appearance strange to him as he has never seen such creatures before. Accidentally, he knocks over a shoe onto one of the hunters, who wakes up and is astonished, along with his friend, to see Spirit, a very rare horse. Spirit continues observing everything until the leader of the hunters wakes up. Spirit rushes away, with the hunters in pursuit, attempting to catch him. He manages to escape and circles back, freeing the other horses. He then runs at full speed, reaching his herd and urging them to flee the area. He returns to confront the hunters, provoking them into chasing him. He enters a mountainous region, navigating the rocks, then provokes them again and resumes running. Before escaping, one of the soldiers throws a rope, lassoing him and causing him to fall. As Spirit tries to attack him, another rope binds him, and they pull him in, tying him up with ropes from all sides. Overwhelmed by the ropes, Spirit finds himself unable to escape the hunters. He sees his mother and the herd approaching to help him, but refuses their assistance, urging them to flee to avoid capture. They comply. Despite their willingness to help, the horses with the hunters remain helpless. The hunters then take Spirit and embark on a long journey. Spirit attempts to escape, but fails. He calls out to his eagle friend for help, but the eagle cannot approach due to the hunters. After a long journey, they reach a desert camp belonging to the U.S. Army. Spirit is amazed as he enters the camp, teeming with armed soldiers and a larger number of horses. 4 soldiers try to control Spirit, who displays strength and resistance to surrender. The camp leader fires a shot in the air to intimidate him and approaches. Believing they have tamed many wild horses and that this one will be no different, the soldiers anger Spirit, who breaks the leader's stick and shows his lack of fear. The soldiers then take Spirit and tie him in a designated area for new horses. A man approaches and tries to cut Spirit's hair, but Spirit bites him. Enraged, the man orders the soldiers to tie him securely to prevent movement, then resumes cutting his hair. When he attempts to put a horseshoe on Spirit, the horse kicks him down, further angering the man who orders the soldiers to bind him completely. This, however, does not stop Spirit, who breaks free, attacks the man, and knocks him unconscious. Following this, the soldiers transfer Spirit to the training grounds for taming, placing a bridle on him for control. Of course, this has no effect on Spirit, and whenever a soldier tries to tame him, he runs swiftly, jumps, and throws him to the ground. Spirit continues throwing the soldiers one after another, and none of them can control him. All the horses watch in amazement, cheering him on, but the camp leader becomes enraged by Spirit's actions. The soldiers, now scared to approach Spirit, witness him terrifying them and throwing them one by one out of the training area. He runs fast, frightening everyone until he reaches the camp leader, who shows no fear. The leader orders the soldiers to tie Spirit and deprive him of food and water for 3 days. Indeed, Spirit is tied to a pole in the middle of the training area, unable to break free despite his efforts. At night, he gazes at the sky, deeply missing his mother and herd. The next morning, Spirit is severely thirsty and observes the leader drinking water. Suddenly, the soldiers arrive with a man from the Native American tribes named Little Creek. They inform the leader that this person has been stealing from their resources, and the leader orders him to be tied up and deprived of food and water. Little Creek notices Spirit and is surprised by his different appearance from the soldiers. Throughout the time, Little Creek attempts to play with Spirit, who shows no interest. At night, Spirit is puzzled by a strange sound Little Creek makes, realizing he is communicating with someone outside the camp. Suddenly, a knife is thrown near Little Creek, who manages to retrieve it with his foot before anyone notices. Later, the soldiers wake up and prepare to defend the railroad from attacks by the Native Americans. But the leader is unconcerned and asks if 3 days have passed without food and water for Spirit. It turns out the 3 days have indeed passed, and the leader begins his attempt to tame Spirit. Spirit attempts to throw off the colonel, running and moving with great speed, even crashing into the wall to dislodge him, but his 3 days without food have weakened him. Unfortunately, Spirit loses his strength, unable to continue running, and succumbs to exhaustion. The colonel, pleased with his success in taming Spirit, parades him before the soldiers. He ponders the need to complete the railroad and the requirement for a large number of horses. He declares the necessity to eliminate the Native American tribes and believes that with punishment and time, they can tame any horse. Infuriated, Spirit pulls the reins and runs at high speed, throwing the colonel into the air. The colonel flies out of the arena and crashes to the the ground. This, of course, delights all the horses who cheer Spirit for his bravery. Little Creek is impressed by what he witnessed. The camp leader, enraged, grabs a pistol and aims it at Spirit, who shows no fear. Before he can shoot, Little Creek breaks free, attacks the leader, and grabs onto Spirit, who takes him and runs to free the horses. Little Creek strikes a soldier and takes his weapon. Spirit runs into the stable where all the horses are kept. Little Creek uses the weapon to destroy the lock, and he and Spirit escape with a group of horses following them. They continue running and exit the camp. Everyone disperses, and Spirit is filled with joy at the prospect of returning to his herd. Suddenly, Little Creek calls out to Rain, his mare, and mounts her. Two of his friends grab Spirit, who feels distressed. Little Creek and his friends take Spirit back to their tribe and place him in a corral. Little Creek approaches and removes the bridle from his mouth. The next morning, Spirit is delighted to find an apple beside him and begins to eat it. He is captivated by Rain and tries to get her attention, but she shows no interest. He seizes the opportunity to observe her playing with Little Creek, happy and playful, and watches them with a sense of sadness. Later, we see Little Creek attempting to tame Spirit but failing, while his friends continue to mock him. Spirit runs after him and escapes the corral, followed by Rain, who stops him and scolds him. An idea strikes Little Creek, and he ties Rain to Spirit, asking her to calm him down before opening the corral gate. Spirit rejoices and runs at full speed to return to his herd, but Rain stops him, sitting on the ground to prevent him from pulling her. She then wraps her rope around him, causing him to fall. Spirit is surprised and impressed by her and follows her lead. Rain begins to show Spirit the tribe, the people who live there, and the young children. Spirit is happy to see that the humans in the tribe treat horses well. He plays with a little girl, bringing her joy and stopping her from crying, feeling content with his actions. While Spirit and Rain are eating, he notices she wants to eat an apple, but cannot reach it. He takes the apple and approaches her, offering it to her, but Rain refuses to eat it alone and makes Spirit share it with her. Their mutual admiration begins to grow. Later, we see Spirit playing with Little Creek, who continues his attempts to tame him, chasing after him. After a while, Spirit approaches Little Creek, suggesting he can ride him. When Little Creek comes to mount him, Spirit tricks him and throws him to the ground. Little Creek's friends continue to mock him. Spirit tires and scares Little Creek's friends, throwing them as well. He then approaches Little Creek, reassuring him. Little Creek tells him he will not try to ride him again, and that no one deserves to ride him. He opens the corral gate and tells Spirit to leave. Spirit is surprised by Little Creek's actions and hesitates at first but exits the corral. He looks back at Little Creek and greets him before departing. Spirit goes to Rain, who is happy to see him free, and asks her to come with him to the herd. Unfortunately, Rain refuses, wanting to stay with Little Creek and her tribe. Suddenly, they hear a tremor and see soldiers and the camp leader approaching to attack the tribe. Rain and Spirit run quickly back to the tribe to help their people fight the soldiers. Little Creek mounts Rain and jumps to attack the camp leader, but the leader shoots Rain, causing her to fall into the river. Before he can kill Little Creek, Spirit intervenes, knocking down the leader and saving Little Creek. Spirit runs swiftly to catch up with Rain, who has been carried away by the water. Spirit jumps into the water at full speed, swimming and approaching Rain until he reaches her. Unfortunately, the water pressure is too strong, and Spirit cannot escape while carrying Rain. They reach the waterfall and fall from it. After some time, Spirit emerges from the water and goes to Rain, who lies on the shore. He is saddened to find her unable to move. He approaches her, comforting her and staying by her side throughout the night, filled with sadness and hope for her well-being. A group of soldiers arrives and captures Spirit, who tries to resist but fails. They take him away, leaving Rain behind due to her illness. Spirit is heartbroken as he witnesses Rain lose consciousness and understands that she has died. He surrenders and goes with the soldiers. After the soldiers leave, Little Creek arrives and checks on Rain, feeling saddened by what has happened to her. He decides to rescue Spirit, just as Spirit saved his life. We transition to the soldiers taking Spirit and placing him on the train carrying the Native American horses. These horses rejoice upon seeing Spirit and try to cheer him up, but he remains deeply saddened, believing that Rain is dead. Spirit jumps over the fence and walks with all the horses on the train. He feels a complete loss of hope, but then he remembers his mother and his herd and decides to break free and return to them. After a while, the train stops, and the soldiers take Spirit and the other horses out. Spirit is puzzled, unsure why they are in this place, but he overhears the humans talking and understands they need the horses to help connect the railroad. Meanwhile, Little Creek is instructed to go and free Spirit. We return to Spirit, who, along with all the other horses, is tied to the carriage pulling the train across the mountain. All the horses, including Spirit, jump and begin pulling the train carriage. After some time, they reach the top of the mountain. Spirit sees the workers working on the railroad and realizes that this track leads to his herd's location. When Spirit refuses to move, he notices that the train carriage might roll off the mountain if all the horses leave it. An idea comes to him, and he pretends to be dead. This, of course, makes the guards untie him from the chains and remove him from the line. Spirit seizes the opportunity, fully recovers, and attacks the guards. He goes to the chains, pulling the train, and destroys one of them, prompting a group of horses to move. He then destroys the second chain, freeing the rest of the horses and urging them to escape quickly. This causes the train carriage to move from its place, and no matter how hard the humans try to stop it, they cannot. Before Spirit can run, a group of soldiers chains him, but he fights them off and escapes, running as he sees the train carriage about to fall on him. He descends the mountain at full speed with the train carriage close behind. The carriage flies through the air and is about to fall on him, but Spirit manages to dodge it. The carriage rolls off the mountain and comes towards them. Spirit continues running from the train carriage, which collides with another train, causing an explosion and destroying the area. Spirit feels proud of what he has done and continues running to escape the forest, which is about to burn down completely. Unfortunately, while running, the chain gets caught on a tree trunk, preventing him from escaping. Before the fire reaches him, Little Creek arrives and frees him. They run quickly and jump into the river. Spirit loses consciousness. After a while, he wakes up and finds that Little Creek has saved him and brought him an apple to eat. Little Creek approaches and places him in the water. They play together, and Spirit feels immense happiness that Little Creek did not abandon him and came to his rescue. Spirit approaches and licks his face. Suddenly, the camp leader and a group of soldiers arrive and start shooting at them. While running, Little Creek falls to the ground. Spirit returns, picks him up, and runs away from the soldiers who are chasing them. Spirit continues running at high speed until they enter a mountainous area, with the soldiers following close behind. Little Creek grabs a stick and swings between the rocks, causing one of the soldiers to fall. He then jumps from a rock and lands on Spirit's back. The soldier who was chasing him crashes into the rock. Spirit stops at the last moment before falling off the edge and helps Little Creek knock down another soldier. Spirit continues running until he reaches the top of a cliff. He discovers there is no way to escape. Despite this, Spirit refuses to give up and looks at the other side, which is very far away. He gathers his courage and jumps with all his might, soaring through the air. Little Creek feels joy as they fly, and the camp leader and his soldiers are amazed as they witness Spirit flying. Spirit manages to reach the other side and feels proud of what he has done. Due to what has happened, the camp leader prevents the soldier from killing Spirit, respecting his determination and strength, and looks at him with pride. He and his soldiers leave. Spirit and Little Creek feel immense happiness and dance joyfully. Little Creek mounts Spirit and they jump quickly. After a while, they arrive at Little Creek's tribe. Spirit feels deep sadness as he remembers Rain, but is surprised to see her alive. She has not forgotten him either, no matter what happened. She asks Spirit to take care of her. Spirit approaches her and embraces her. He and Rain greet each other and depart. Spirit feels happy and thanks Little Creek for being the reason for their freedom. He leaves with Rain. Spirit and Rain continue running swiftly. After a long journey, Spirit rejoices as he meets his eagle friend and also reaches his herd, who greet him and celebrate his return. Spirit embraces his mother, who is overjoyed to see him. He, Rain, and the entire herd run together, free at last. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel and click like appreciate me.